Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome to another match reaction. It's finished Watford 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. That is now 6 on the bounce for Watford. We're on a roll. It wasn't a pretty one today, but we got the job done and started the Easter bank holiday weekend with a win, which is the main thing. Today, we're joined by Sam, Elliot and Mr. Andy Lewis. Andy, thank you so much for coming on today, mate. An absolute pleasure to have you on. Bit of a throwback to the Love Sport days. Me and Andy used to do a show together. First off, mate, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Yeah, I miss those Sunday evenings in the Love Sports studio. They were good fun. Getting the odd angry caller on the line when on the Masari era, the silver years. That wasn't even a year for silver, was it? It was good fun. It was good fun, wasn't it? So I do miss those. But thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure,
mate. A pleasure. We'll get into today's results straight away. Sam, we'll start with you. Actually, kind of initial reaction to it. A little bit after the game, but it feels like now the results are more important than the performances. Is that fair? A fair comment?
Yeah, exactly. A win's a win. Just happy we got the 3 points in the end after, Watford. It's not a Watford win without them putting, our heart rates all over the place with 5 minutes to go. But yeah, it really wasn't the best performance. Probably, one of the most lackluster and probably slow in a long time. And that's understandable considering the scenario with players coming back from international duty. We didn't really know what the team would be. I'm sure the players had no idea who'd be playing with, everyone coming back at different times. So at the end of the day, at this point in the season, all we need to worry about is getting the 3 points rather than anything else. Yeah,
well, this is the thing. I mean, I only looked at the league table just before we came on, and Norwich are starting to look over their shoulder, and we're starting to catch up with them. Elliot, from your perspective, thoughts on that win? A big win at this stage of the season. We've started the running with a win, which is crucial, obviously.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. I think it was pretty much perfect for us aside from the performance, because you've got through it with a clean sheet, a comfortable enough win, no injuries or anything like that apart from João Pedro, which we hope is nothing serious, and it seems like it's one of those ones that might just be a minor one. So ultimately, yeah, a very good day at the office and good to get back on the momentum and hopefully keep that run going, because it's now 10 wins in 11. It's now 6 wins in a row, and we've sort of picked up where we've left off. There are some little problems with, I guess, just trying to get the momentum back going. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. And a 1-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday, I'd 100% take that before kickoff. So yeah, really pleased.
That's the thing, Andy. It's a bit of an interesting one, because as we said, the performance wasn't the best we've seen from Watford this season, but we've played better and maybe lost the game. So from your perspective, it must be a positive, right? The fact we've got the 1-0 win, it's a clean sheet, another clean sheet at home, which is kind of a bit predictable with Watford. But how did you view today's Watford performance anyway?
When was the last time you said a clean sheet at Vicarage Road was predictable? you weren't born, Jacob, the last time that was the thing.
That's in history.
Yeah, literally. No, I could completely agree with Sam. Yeah, we've been in this position before, obviously in 14-15, where you get to within the final 10 games of the season. It doesn't matter how you get the result. It doesn't even matter who scores the goals. I don't care if all our goals for the remainder of the season are own goals scored by the opposition. I don't care. As long as we get the win, we are in the driving seat, and we're putting a lot of pressure on Swansea now, be it playing before them today. 9 points clear before their kick-off this evening. And then we've got the early fixture on Easter Monday as well. So we're in the driving seat firmly now with that. And momentum was going to be lost, I think, after an international break. I think that was a given. I would have been very surprised if we sort of had the same intensity that we had prior to the international break. But hey, a win's a win. We can't turn our noses up at that. And the fact that the games are going to come thick and fast again now, I think we should hopefully see that momentum start to come back a little bit.
Well, absolutely. That's the thing, Sam. You mentioned about maybe the drop-off in performance, but actually is that a positive that we've managed to win a game in this fashion, because we've blown teams away? Bristol City at home 6-0. I mean, there's been so many games where we've blown teams away, but we've done it a different way today. Surely that's a big positive coming out of today's game. Yeah,
exactly. It's a sign of a good team if you're winning without playing well. I've tried to avoid kind of comparing it to the 14-15 promotion season, but very much reminded me of that 1-0 win against Birmingham at home, albeit with, our goal wasn't quite as spectacular as Craig Cathcart's goal that day, but it was very similar with the fact that it wasn't our best performance, incredibly scrappy, slow tempo game where Birmingham frustrated us. And I felt there were similar aspects of that today against Sheffield Wednesday. But honestly, such a big positive that we're going to have games now where teams are going to sit back and try and play for a point against us. And the fact we've able kind of to overcome that in a game where we haven't been able to play too well, I'd say because Sheffield Wednesday actually did really well to kind of stop us playing so well. We got the 3 points, which is, it's really impressive, and it's a sign of how far this Watford team have come over the season.
You mentioned it in the preview, Elliot, about Sheffield Wednesday, because they're fighting for their lives, aren't they, at the bottom of the table, 23rd. And to be fair, you looked at their performance today. I don't think their position reflects the way they played today. I mean, Barry Bannon was running the game in the midfield. He was really good, wasn't he, Sam? I mean, he was
really good.
So good. Elliot, from Watford's performance, who stood out for you in particular? Because I think I saw a tweet from, it might have been Caroline on Twitter, who said, I couldn't pick a man of the match. If you had to pick a man of the match, who would you go for?
I think I'd go with either William Troost-Ekong or Nathaniel Chalobah, because I just think they did their jobs really well. I think we're sort of, it's typically Tom Cleverley's role to be that relentless presser and the one that is pretty tireless in the way that he goes for every loose ball. And I think Nathaniel Chalobah actually picked up that mantle really well today, and I think he handled that really well. A really good captain performance from him once again, and he looks really settled in that midfield alongside Will Hughes. And although Philip Zinckernagel and Dan Gosling played well, also it's difficult to stand out ahead of Chalobah and Will Hughes when they're in this kind of form. And then William Troost-Ekong, again, difficult to stand out when you've got a player as talented as Francisco Sierralta next to you, but he did really well, and I think his passing has very much improved. And considering he was playing international football just this week, I believe, or late last week.
On Tuesday,
It's incredible that he's managed to get 90 minutes in the tank and do that well. So, both of those players in particular, I think, were the standouts for me.
Andy, same question to you. Was it Troost-Ekong the main standout for you?
Yeah, it was Troost-Ekong for me as well. Just touching on there, the fact he's played international football, he's also had to travel as well, back from Nigeria. So he's also got probably had a little bit of jet lag as well. So the fact he's played international football, captained his side, and then come back and played the full 90 minutes at Vicarage Road and managed to keep a clean sheet as well is testament to his fitness levels. Really, a truly dominant performance. And apart from that Jordan Rhodes chance that went over the bar, the defence didn't really have much to do. Backman didn't have a crucial save to make, one block in the first half. But apart from that, another solid display from the Watford defence.
Well, this is the thing, Sam. It felt comfortable, as Andy says, at the back line. But at the same time, the last 15 to 20 minutes, it was squeaky bum time, I have to admit, particularly in my house. But did you feel comfortable watching that Watford performance, despite you saying the performance levels or intensity dropped slightly?
Yeah, I think that is, testament to how good our defence has been this season. That I'd say in my lifetime, at least, this is the most confident I've been in the Watford defence, that I feel now we're able to kind of see out these 1-0 games where teams are piling on pressure. And that's just the fact that they were piling on the pressure kind of towards the end, less so in the last 2 or 3 minutes, but probably at the start of stoppage time. That's just the natural sequences of football. When there's a team chasing a game and they're going to put more and more balls forward, you're subconsciously going to, sit further back. And that's just natural. And I don't think that's anything against us. But I thought we managed that really, really well. As Elliot said, I thought Troost-Ekong was absolutely fantastic today. One of his best performances this season after, a lot of people have said that he's probably the weak link in the back four. But I thought today, absolutely superb. And as well as Andy said, the fact he did that after coming back from international duty just shows, how good his fitness levels are and how good of a professional he is. But yeah, I always had faith in our back line. I always have faith in our back line at the moment that we can see out wins. And, they showed that again today.
Elliot, going back onto the lineup, as Sam mentioned, the defence was solid. There was 2 changes to the Watford team today. Zinckernagel and Ismaila Sarr came in, and there was a bit of doubt whether Sarr was going to play after obviously having his injury just before the international break. Did you think that maybe changed the balance of the team a little bit for better or worse? Obviously, Dan Gosling came out in that central area. Did you feel we lost a little bit of grip there, or do you think actually it added a different dimension to what we had seen before?
Yeah, I was really happy with Philip Zinckernagel in particular coming in because, as much as he's played there recently, it's still not his natural position in that central midfield spot, and he doesn't make it show. It's not obvious just at face value that he's not a central midfielder because he slots in really well and he handles that pressure really well against what is a very combative and very creative midfield in Sheffield Wednesday, and of course Barry Bannon in particular, who we now know all about, having watched him today, and we know how good he was. I think we coped pretty well with him. He had a couple of opportunities where he played some very nice passes, but I think ultimately we kept him fairly quiet. And yeah, I think that's a testament to how well Zinckernagel is playing as well. as for Ismaila Sarr, I like that we were sort of a bit quiet on his status. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, or whether it was actually a late fitness test, because it's great that Ismaila Sarr was in that team, and I don't think any of us expected it. So it probably sprung a bit of a surprise Sheffield Wednesday's way, and I doubt they couldn't really handle him, and not many teams have shown that they could handle him. And speaking to him post match, because he did chat in the press conference post match, he was very happy with the performance. He was very clear to point out that it's nothing to do with him, and it's a whole team effort. And like many of the players and the manager, he's really not willing to be drawn into any talk of Premier League football just yet. They're all pulling in the same direction. And I think Ismaila Sarr has shown as an individual and as the member of the team how well he's playing at the moment, how confident he is. And I just think it's great to see him come back into the side that comfortably and not really look out of place, considering he's had a minor injury.
Yeah, he did slot in seamlessly, didn't he? I think, Andy, just on the front three, what did you make of the balance of that front three? You had Sarr, Success, who continued up front. Actually, did that surprise you that Success started down the middle, Andy? And what did you make of his performance?
Do you know what? I thought Success did okay, but I think it was obvious to tell that there was a striker there who was lacking a lot of confidence and lacking a lot of game time. He got himself into the right positions when he needed to. You know, if he wasn't, we were chatting sort of pre-show, if he wasn't there for the own goal, the ball wouldn't have gone in the net. He was there ready, anticipating the tap in. Had a shot on the edge of the area, which he took first time, which he scuffed wide. So he was getting himself into some good areas as a striker, but you can tell he's just lacking that sort of match sharpness, if you like, and that confidence that you sort of need in a front three when you've got likes of Sema and Pedro and Sarr on either side getting the ball to cross. Sarr, obviously, Elliot's touched on, was obviously a great inclusion today. I don't think I'm a huge fan of Pedro out on the left. I obviously prefer him in the middle of a front three, but obviously it's great that we have that sort of flexibility. You know, Ken bizarrely was playing in a friendly game against Estonia. Like, what was the point of Sweden playing Estonia in a friendly? God knows. Just send him back. We don't want him to have an injury. Like, just we want the King of Sweden must return home.
The goat.
So I wasn't a huge fan of Pedro on the left hand side, but I thought he did pretty well. You know, he carved out a couple of decent chances for himself, but I think we know what our favourite front three is, I think, now at this stage of the season, with Sarr and Sema out wide and Pedro in the middle. So it was good that we have that sort of versatility and flexibility on the bench. And Ken as well, getting 45 minutes after playing internationals this week as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, Sam. I wanted to open the discussion about Success because there was a couple of comments online which suggested, is it the right time to start playing him into form? Obviously, he hasn't played a lot of football over the last 2 seasons or so. From your perspective, do we continue with Isaac? And as Andy said, I don't personally think it worked as well playing JP on the left. But with Isaac, what did you make of that situation? And Andre Gray, a Success having to play ahead of Andre Gray. Is he frozen? He's frozen on that thought. I'll tell you what, Elliot, I'll throw it over to you. The Success situation, what do you make of it? Playing him into form at this point of the season?
I think we can get away with it, and I understand the reasons behind it, because we know he has talent. We know that there is a player there, and I think he has shown it in glimpses since he's come back. And also, Andre Gray seems to gain the special powers when he comes off the bench and comes on as a sub. So I guess having Success start means Andre Gray can come on at 60 minutes. So in a way, it is a positive, and I think he does offer us something. And as Andy said, he got into some very good positions today. Personally, I think for Gray's confidence, I'd probably give him a start in the next game, or again, as Andy said, use João Pedro in the middle, because I think João Pedro is a different player when he's playing in the middle, and sometimes on the left he's a little bit isolated. He's sort of played out the game a little bit, and it can be difficult sometimes to get him more involved. So for me, the first choice would always be to play João Pedro in that centre forward role, and hopefully it was just as a result of Ken Sema having to quickly come back from international duty, and in the next game, providing João Pedro isn't injured, we can have a front three of Sema, João Pedro and Sarr, which seems to be the first choice for Xisco Munoz. Would you change that for Monday, Elliot? Just on that front? It all depends on João Pedro for me. I think let's say João Pedro is injured, I would say Ken Sema, Andre Gray, Ismaila Sarr. but I don't think that's. I don't want to criticise Isaac's success too much because I don't think he's been as bad as many people have been saying. I don't think it was a poor performance, and I think actually he does deserve more chances. So I would say for Monday, Andre Gray up front, but I wouldn't freeze Isaac's success out by any means. I'd definitely have him involved in the team and maybe come off the bench after 60 minutes or so.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, as we're halfway through the show, we'll take a little look through your comments. Thank you to everyone who's watching or watching this back. Richard says, promotion first, title second. Really want the title, though. Massive 6-pointing coming up. We'll touch on that Middlesbrough game in just a second. Rudy says, Okong was immense today. I absolutely agree with that, Rudy. He was really, really solid at the back. Good win, but should have got second, says Matt. And this is the thing, Dan, Norwich are just on the horizon. It's getting very close now, and people thought Norwich had already won. Get in there. Andy, Mr. Statman, 10 of 11, 6 on the bounce, the best since 2011. I think it was under Malky Mackay, and 16 home wins, the best since 1982-83. Andy, don't lie, you're loving the stats, aren't you? You're loving that stat.
I am loving those stats.
Drink it
Absolutely
in.
loving those stats.
Yeah. In terms of... Go on, mate.
Sorry, I was very surprised when John Mark said the last time we'd won 6 in a row was 2011. I'm shocked that that's not been in the Potts era. We haven't won 6 in a row.
That is incredible. That's an incredible stat. That really incredible stat. In terms of just what you've made of Xisco Munoz, Andy, just because this is the first time you've been on the show this season. What have you made of him? Because it's been obviously we mentioned it on the channel quite a bit. The turnaround's been immense from the commentary game. What are your thoughts really on Xisco?
Well, I think it kind of goes to show that as Watford fans, certainly for a lot of us on certain Facebook pages, that we probably perhaps need to be a little bit more patient as Watford fans, because I think we've become very accustomed to the manager merry-go-round or like the revolving door at Vicarage Road, and we know as Watford fans that's not the case. There's always been a justifiable reason for head coaches coming and going. But especially after that Coventry game, where we were just awful. People were asking for Munoz to go, calling for his head. He's playing. He's not experienced enough. Played 11 games in the Georgian League, etc. But he's switched it up. He's recognised that. He's changed the system. He's utilised the players that he knows will work in that system. I do think dropping the likes of players, obviously, Troy's injured, but dropping the likes of Andre Gray, keeping Daniel in the team when Ben's now fit, keeping that stability in the starting 11. I've been impressed with Xisco, and I think it just goes to show we need to have some faith in the head coaches that we hire, and we need to give them time to implement their style, to just have time to sort of bond the team, and because we see on the pitch now. This team has a far better team spirit than any of the Watford sides, I would say, for like the last, maybe since Javi left, I would say. I don't think we've seen a Watford side with as much team spirit as we do now. And that all comes from Xisco, it comes from that cheeky little smile. It comes from putting Elton John songs on your Instagram story. And I feel as though, even though we can't be in the ground, I do feel as though like that he cares, that he realizes that he's in a very privileged position to be head coach of Watford Football Club, and I think he's embracing every single day of that. And I think that's just reverberating around through the players. I think it's now sort of infecting the fans. Shouldn't really be talking about infections during a global pandemic, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm really pleased with him. But I think it just goes to show we just need to, as fans, we need to have maybe a little bit more faith and just trust the head coach a little bit more and give them a little bit more time to implement what they want to do with this squad. Because I think that's been our downfall in the past with a lot of head coaches. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely bang on there, Andy. And actually, Elliot, we mentioned it in the interview, didn't we, with Klebs, and he said I think it's the best team spirit he's seen at Watford, and he's been maybe in some good teams and in some good periods. I think he mentioned the Marco Silva, those first few games when it really was on a high, even under Javi, as Andy mentioned. But for him to come out with that statement suggests, and I think we're seeing it in the performances and the way we're doing it in different styles, the team spirit is an absolute optimum at the moment. From your perspective, just going into the run-in, the confidence must be building now. The last 7 games, we've started with a win. And actually, as we mentioned earlier on the show, the fact we did it maybe a little bit uglier today, does that fill you with even more confidence that we can go into the final 7 games and keep this run going?
It does, yeah, and I don't think, despite the problems of today's performance, I don't think it was a complacency thing, and I think that's often where teams that are up near the top, up in second, third, fourth, that's where they ultimately fall short. They start to get complacent. We're seeing actually Swansea's problem is complacency, and Brentford might also be slightly complacent in parts. And I don't think there is that from Watford, and I don't think you could ever say that the Watford team in the past few games have been complacent. And I think that's also the key to that team spirit. You can see everyone pulling in the same direction. The confidence is high, but they know that they're not going to set ridiculous goals. They're not focusing on getting first. Xisco Munoz says a lot. Right, the target now is to mathematically get the playoffs, and I assume we can't be that far away from that now, surely. And then he said, and after we've done that, we'll focus on trying to get second, and then if we manage that, then hopefully we can get first. And I think that's a very good way of doing it. Manageable goals, not going too extreme, not going, really sort of measured. And I think it's just to his benefit and to the club's benefit that right now they're setting these achievable goals, and hopefully second place is an achievable goal by the end of the season.
I'll tell you what, it's time to bring back in Sam.
Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi completely just went down.
It bottled it midway through.
Yeah, it was it.
Sam, we were just talking about the running and just in terms of the league table. I think, as we mentioned, we're catch up with Norwich. I think we're 6 points behind them now in first place, which is really weird considering I think we mentioned it on one of the shows that we thought they were going to run away with it, and it did feel like that. For you, is it about not getting too ahead of ourselves now because the title is getting a little bit closer to us? But I guess it's just promotion is the main target, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, personally, I'm not fussed if we go up first or second. As Xisco Munoz does say, I'm just taking it game by game, really. Make sure we secure ourselves in the playoffs and then, work our way up to securing second and then hopefully going for the league title. But but we're in a really, really good place at the moment. And particularly in this league of all leagues, you can't write anything off. Like, it's mental how, in a few weeks ago, we were saying how we might not even get playoffs. And now we're, starting to look at whether Norwich are going to slip us and give us a chance for the title. So it's just about taking small steps. And, if we can take it one game at a time, eventually, it will come out with the best result for us.
Andy, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'm going to. Are you starting to believe that we could go up this season?
Go up, yes, absolutely. Whether we can win the title, I'm not too sure. A few months ago, I very optimistically. How many of you three have been to Carrow Road before?
Yeah.
Last year.
So in the corner, right by the away fans, there's a hotel, right?
Yeah.
I very optimistically, like 3 months ago, booked a room in the hotel, pitch side. I haven't paid anything, and it's free cancellation for the 20th of April to watch Watford hopefully take on Norwich if restrictions were lifted. Sadly, that's not looking like it's going to be able to go ahead. But if the vaccine program, you never know, if the vaccine rollout keeps going on, and Boris decides to let indoor hospitality be a thing by 20th of April, then I might be able to see Watford play away from home. Yeah,
Andy, I think we need to take the Xisco Munoz approach here and just go one stage at a time before we think about.
Andy's just going to be letting flares off in his hotel room.
when you see the Sky cameras pan to a room and there's just a scarf just out the window, that's gonna be me. So that was very optimistic, but yeah, absolutely starting to believe the promotion's doable. It was sort of around Easter in 20. I know Sam's mentioned that we shouldn't really be comparing to 14-15, but I don't really see a problem with that because we're in a similar position. We're second at the moment. We're second sort of this time behind Bournemouth last time out. It was Easter Monday in 2015 at home to Middlesbrough, ironically, where I knew we were going to get automatic promotion. Like that was the day, the 2-0 win at home, where I just knew that it was our year. And so it's starting to feel like it's this time of year again. We've got Middlesbrough or Easter Monday again. Maybe the stars are aligning for just the perfect Easter weekend. But I'm starting to believe now with Swansea slipping up in the last 2 games.
Nice. We maybe should get Igalo back on a 1-game loan just to play against Middlesbrough.
Hey, I'm sure Truce has his number. Truce has Giggy on speed dial.
Yeah. Superb. Elliot, just in terms of that, actually, I know Sam's now said it. Don't compare, but I'm going to compare.
Why not?
When we look at the 2 seasons, I guess the difference with that season and this season is it was out of our hands for a large majority of it until maybe the last few games of the season. It's firmly in our hands at this point. Do you think that changes the dynamic? I guess the players would prefer it to be that way.
It does, and it scares me slightly that it's now in our hands, because it'd be a very Watford thing to then slowly let it slip.
And he's nodding there. He's seen it before.
I don't know if you guys were alive in 2008 when we were like 10 points clear at the top of the table and we got kicked out of the playoffs by Hull. Yeah,
that was under Boothroyd, right? With that red Rico kit, was it?
Yeah, it was the Boothroyd's penultimate season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not again, please.
Even more recently than that, you had 12-13 on the last day of the season, and we just needed to better Hull's result. They drew, and then we lost to Leeds. So,
Sam, that's making my stomach
turn.
That Jack Bonham lob.
Ross McCormack has never left my mind since.
I think I just
but then Ross McCormack, yeah. Sorry, Elliot, go on.
Ross McCormack helped us, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the guy that scored the goal to send us up.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah. Very true. Sorry, Elliot. We went on a bit of a tangent there, mate.
What were we talking about? Yeah, comparisons.
We went from comparison.
It is in our hands, and I think we've got the confidence now. It's weird to say Watford have so much confidence, but we actually do have this sort of swagger about us where it is in our hands, and we're happy to have it in our hands. We're not complacent. And we'll get the job done like we did today. I think it's probably the highest praise I can give Watford, that we get the job done now. In games earlier on in the season where perhaps we weren't great, like Sheffield Wednesday in the reverse fixture, we'd come out of that game with a point. Today, we could have very easily ended up with a point, and we didn't. We got the 3 points. Same with Birmingham. That could have been a banana skin, and we won very comfortably, and it was a 3-0 win. So I think we're sort of coping with that pressure. It doesn't feel like there's that pressure, at least from the players' perspective. I'm sure the fans feel it, and we do feel it sort of watching it, like today when there's sort of 10-15 minutes left and it's 1-0. So there is still the pressure for the fans, but I think the club are handling it really well, and I think the players are handling it really well. And I think with this one game at a time approach, we are sort of saying, right, we'll play you, we'll beat you, move on, play you, beat you. Obviously, it isn't completely sustainable. We will eventually lose one, and that's a point that Tom Cleverley very eloquently put in his chat with us. He said, we will drop points at some point. All the big teams will drop points at some point, but the focus is on keeping that confidence high, keep on going. And I think we have now got what it takes. And I don't want to say I believe we'll go up, but I do believe we'll go up.
Come on, Elliot, back up.
I think we've hit a point now where we are in the driver's seat, and I think we are out of the top three. We're not, we'll ignore Norwich, because I'm not ever going to say that we're going to win the title, because I don't think we've got any chance of that. But out of us, Swansea and Brentford, it's well and truly in our hands. We're the most informed team out of those three, and arguably in the league. So it's definitely in our hands, and we can definitely get promoted now.
Yeah, as Freddie says in the chat here, promotion is the aim no matter where we finish, but the title charge is now on. Very bold. We wouldn't get too carried away, though. You were getting carried away there, Freddie, in your comment. Sam, I wanted to ask you about Monday. I think we discussed it on the preview show, didn't we? We feel like, assuming that we did win today, Middlesbrough does feel like a pivotal point in the season. Do you want to maybe elaborate on that and just how big this game is in terms of the run-in for Watford as a whole?
Yes, it's absolutely huge. I think this is arguably going to be almost our toughest game. Going away to a Neil Warnock side, a side that I think that they lost today at Bournemouth, didn't they?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, but it's a tough place to go, and they did put a really difficult game on against us the first day of the season. It was, I think. Lovely header. But yeah, I just feel like it's these sorts of away games, kind of the tricky banana skin sort of games, that really shape your season in the Championship. Because if you can kind of avoid dropping points at places like the Riverside away at Middlesbrough, then you're in a really, really good position to go up in this league. And I feel like that if we can get a win there, then I feel like we can beat anyone in this league. I'm not saying Middlesbrough are the best team in the league, but just in my opinion, I feel like it is the toughest game. So it's pivotal for our season. Andy,
final thoughts looking ahead to Monday? Feeling confident again?
I think we have every right to feel confident. I'd be surprised if we won, because going away from home, like Sam just said, to a Neil Warnock side,
would you take a point, Andy?
I'd take a point. Yeah, absolutely. Anything's better than losing, of course. But I think, 7 wins on the bounce, let's not get too carried away. We are only Watford. Like 7 wins on the bounce, come on. We're being greedy now, aren't we? But I think, to be honest, I think this squad, this team has every right to think, yeah, we can go away from home against Middlesbrough and come away with 3 points. Like I would hope the team has that confidence now to sort of go away to these grounds and think, yeah, we can take you. Yeah, why not? So I'd be more than happy with a point. But if we can come away with all 3, then fantastic Easter.
Yeah, that would be a great way to wrap up the Easter bank holiday weekend. Just finally, John Mooney, obviously presenter on From a Recurring podcast, says, will you boys be watching Swansea later? I will be watching Swansea later. Absolutely. Elliot, Andy.
Oh yeah,
sure. Why not?
Why not?
It'll be on in the background. With my attention firmly on the game.
And Brentford tomorrow lunchtime as well will be an interesting one as well.
I hate watching other teams. I don't know why. I just don't enjoy it.
It's very different though, I feel like, Jacob, this year, because I felt like last year, with the amount of games there were in during the lockdown when Premier League resumed, and we were watching every West Ham game, every Aston Villa game, every single game from the teams around us, and that wasn't pleasant, because that really was. But I feel like the fact that it is in our hands, we can kind of watch this with kind of a bit more freedom within ourselves. I don't know to play it.
No,
but it's not as tense of a watch, if you know what I mean.
I view it as homework. You've got to watch it, but you don't like doing it.
No, exactly.
This is one of those, isn't it?
Exactly.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's the Championship. I think, although it scares me every single game I watch and every game that I've got any sort of stake in, I love it. I think the Championship's brilliant, and it scares me way more. I much preferred it last season, watching it from the outside, but I'm sort of just embracing the time that we've got in the Championship right now, because right now it looks like we could get promoted. I'm not going to speak too much on that, but just while we're in the Championship, I'm enjoying it. It's a mental league. There's no league like it in the world, and I'm just sort of embracing it while we're here, and hopefully we can look at it as neutrals next season.
Andy, the only downside, I guess, from your perspective is you obviously go to every away game. I've seen you at plenty of away games. The fact that we haven't been able to go to the games this season, is that maybe the one downside of this season so far? Yeah,
of course. Yeah, it's like you just said, it's totally weird. I've been in a very fortunate position to go to as many games as I have done, and it's just bizarre. Just sitting at home, paying a tenner, watching it on your TV, and just not interacting with anyone around you. Like it's totally alien to me. That has been a massive shame, especially with Adam Messina's free kick at Cardiff.
Oh my!
You just think the away end.
You called it, Jacob. I saw your tweet come out the archives the other day when you said, "Watch Watford score free kick with no one in the ground."
What can I say, mate? Do you want to know something else? Watford to get promoted and we're winning the league. Sorry, Andy. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're all good. No, so yeah, it's been tough, to be honest. It's been really tough, but I think we'll all joke about it. Like if we do go up and then fans are allowed back in next season, we'll be like, oh, we never left. Like we never got relegated.
Well,
it never happened. No one saw it. Didn't happen.
We didn't get relegated. No one saw it happen. Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today, mate. We'd love to get you back on again, hopefully before the end of the season. But make sure you do go and check out Andy's. You don't do the blog anymore, do you? But you do the socials on the Hornets Nest. Is that right?
Yeah, I do the socials. I've kind of taken a back seat. Just with fans not being allowed in the stadium is kind of my motivation for doing anything sort of football social has been sapped. Which is why you guys still carrying on has been incredible. Like you've put in massive effort over.
Cheers, Adam.
No, thank you.
So thank you for keeping me and other Watford fans entertained. So it's been tough, but yeah, maybe who's to say the blog may not come back next season. But I'll do my podcast again next season when fans are allowed back in as well. But for the moment, just all the memes and gifs on the Twitter account.
Top man. Well, mate, if you want to give Andy a follow, the link is in the description below. Make sure you do go and check him out on socials. As always, Elliot, Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure you check out those guys on social as well. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WD18fans. We'll be back for some more content for a Sunday night with Shane on Sunday. And then we've got another game on Monday. So a lot of content on the way. And if you did enjoy, please do leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to WD18. Comment down below your thoughts. And we'll see you very soon. Come on, you